table
first two boards they made draw, and Gunina board 3 she managed to win with black pieces with crumbling PM.
Right. Well, we start as per usual with the game of Magnus Carlsen, where a ready opening was played by Sanan Sjugirov, starting with one knight f3, and this way Magnus manages to play e5 and grab the center as early as on move 3. d3, d5. Well, and I think I know this system. So the knight will be developed on e7, right after castle short. It's knight to e7. Yeah, knight to e7, then short castle for black. He's ready to support his center in case of c4. Black just plays c6 usually. I mean, maybe after immediate c4 he can also take.
Compared to the rapids, I can see that Carlsen chose more active openings.
Yeah, well, definitely more aggressive, more tricky ones. And this way, well, I'm not sure about knight c3, because I thought White's idea was to take on d5 immediately and then to enter a Pirc line with g3, once again with colors reversed. So it would be like White played the Pirc defense and has a tempo up. Maybe knight c3 is still fine. So he's trying to, Sjugirov, he's trying to get some sort of, King's Indian setups. So now d4, for instance, knight goes to e2. Magnus still can try to keep the tension in the center by moves like c6. Yeah.
He's taken time and he takes on e4.
He takes on e4, and
which is really strange.
This is somewhat strange because after pawn takes, look at this knight on e7. It's not really moving. It's not really moving. It will take him an awful lot of time to put this knight into place somewhere. It's like bishop e3, a decent move.
And also this pawn structure, it's not really promising for the results.
You mean in terms of complications?
Yes.
f6, f6 is fine. So restricting the f3 knight, but I still don't like the knight on e7 at all. It's like either he wants to go g5 on the next move and put the knight on g6. Maybe that's the way. Queen e2, bishop to e6. That's fine. And then White's supposed to play some a4, I guess. Knight from f3 goes to d4 and to d2 and c4. Rook a d1 attacking the queen. Well, that's a bit surprising because I actually thought that White's main prospects are on the queen side. So I would probably play the other rook to d1. Would probably play the other rook to d1 and keep the rook on a1 just in case White will start moving the queenside pawns. a4.
And the next move he goes for e4. This is
wouldn't it more logical to have the other rook on d1? That's what I'm asking. a4, Magnus decided to ignore the a5 threat. Well, positional threat of a5 played. And now you can feel the knight on e7 is not that great. Well, and the move Magnus ended up playing, I also don't like. What's knight c8? Queen e7.
Queen 7 wants to go knight d6.
Yeah, tries to put it on d6 and finally f7. Actually, the knight on f7 in this setup makes a lot of sense. But White can try to play queen d2 now. Queen d2 trying to, to stop knight d6 at least. Knight to a4. So he allows knight d6, but he'll play knight c5 in this case. Knight a4. Well, White is better. What can I say? b5, a takes. Okay, but now b6 pawn is kind of hanging. c4, which is a good move.
The pawn's
yeah,
on the queen side.
b5 is no longer. Well, b5 is possible actually because if White takes on b5, Black will take on b3. I mean, it's very, very, once again, very sharp. It's not like a straightforward.
Maybe he will go for that.
Maybe he will end up going for this because
needs some.
Well, I mean, he can play
position.
Yeah, he can play some, some move like rook b8, simply protecting the b6 pawn. Black is still solid, but I'm afraid he might end up being, worse. And what is worrisome? I mean, you don't mind worse positions in blitz. I mean, as long as you have some plan, some active counterplay, which he doesn't seemingly. So now b5
seems more comfortable in this position.
b5 is definitely an option, but White has
bishop d2 move.
Bishop d2 is there, but also some knight b2, just not to react at all.
Then rook comes on a2.
Rook a2, yes, but hard to say once again. Because now, since the
No,
queen
rook
left,
f7.
yeah, look, since the queen left, the knight was not protected on d7 as well. Queen to
I don't
e7
really understand of the rook f7 move.
to free the square on f8 for the bishop.
the
That's
bishop,
what he does.
alright.
Yeah, bishop f8, and now once again, I mean, maybe queen e8 and bishop to. Well, it's still very passive position. What can I say? Very, very passive position.
Carlsen
for
is down
Magnus Carlsen.
to 40 seconds.
Queen e8, rook fd1. Sanan is playing very logical moves without, much of a hesitation. Both down to less than 1
H4.
minute. h4, yeah, with potential idea to go king h2 and bishop h3 to swap the light square bishop, which makes black's life even harder.
H5 was stopped.
Yeah.
By
h4, h5.
black
Well,
pawn.
it's like the first reaction, right? Your opponent plays h4, you go h5. Knight back to c3.
Magnus wants to play with the knight, but no, he goes
King
for
h7.
king h7.
King h7, queen d2. Now the knight on d7 is hanging. Knight c5. Well, it's not
Rook
that
d8
comfortable because there is rook d8. Rook
No, he
d7.
goes for rook b7.
I know the
Passive
knight was not
defense.
hanging, but it's still not comfortable. Yeah, I don't really like Magnus's position now. King h2, bishop h3 is always an idea. Knight
91.
to e1 to bring it all the way to c2 and. Let's see what happens. Bishop e7. But once again, the feeling is like the game will be decided when they will both have like 5 seconds and all the blunders will follow. Now, for instance, bishop. Yeah, that's a very important. That's a huge improvement of Magnus's position.
Yeah, but White was to force this knight.
White was
because it
forced, yes.
b3
Apparently,
pawn
he kind of missed
hanging.
this bishop e7's idea to go to c5 because now all of a sudden black's position improved great deal.
He has his dear peer bishops,
Yeah.
which he loves
which
to
he
have.
loves to have, exactly.
And also, White played f4, h4.
F5 though is tricky. Well,
Now h5
what happens
pawn
now?
is
I
hanging.
don't quite understand because the bishop on e6 is hanging. You cannot take on f5. You cannot take on f5. I think Magnus just blundered this one altogether. He takes on f5, and what gives the piece away? Now he's kind of completely lost. He's kind of completely lost. A piece down, and Sjugirov has the time. And he's
Another
winning. He's winning
material.
more material. He's winning more material. He can take on d7. It's a terrible play by Magnus Carlsen. A rook down, and well, White decides to take on d4.
What is this?
Which is a little bit strange decision, but still, I mean, he is the whole piece up. King is safe. It's completely winning for
Kings and
Sanan
two
Sjugirov.
pawns.
Completely winning for Sanan Sjugirov. Just he has to calm down a bit. They try to swap the queens. Tries to swap the queens. Queen g6. Now, but knight b5 wins more material. There is queen f2. He wants to be safe. Knight e4, knight takes. Rook d1. Well, some material won back. And Sanan is also very short on time. Now rook c2 is. They try to swap the queens. Tries to swap the queens. Queen g6. Now, but knight b5 wins more material. There is queen f2. He wants to be safe. Knight e4, knight takes. Rook d1. Well, some material won back. And Sanan is also very short on time. Now rook c2 is a threat.
It's a
Knight
pin.
d4. Well, I mean, now it's nothing is clear. Nothing is clear. I mean, White is of course, objectively, White is completely winning. But
Yes.
you still have to win.
And White is short on time.
It is short on time, but let's see how it works now. Because Magnus only has the rook, but he managed to paralyze those knights.
But pawns are going to the both sides.
Now the pawn is going all the way to c6, right? c5 takes. In case of rook a5, there is knight b3. Well, knight e6 was a serious option, but knight b3 is good as well. That and then attack the pawn. White doesn't want to play c6. Yeah, c6. Rook to a4. And then the king is coming. There is still a defensive idea for Magnus, like to eliminate all the pawns at the cost of a rook, right? So two
Right.
knights are not winning.
Yeah, cannot
That's
win.
being the point. But there are too many.
Oh, we have
The pawns are too many.
handshake.
So Smooth victory, it seems, for Sanan Sjugirov. Let's see if we have something else in play. Could you check the results on the top boards? I think Swidler has finished.